culture. Let's go to Javel, who's at Potter's Bar. Hello, Javel.
Hello. I'd like to thank you first for bringing closure to this subject, because the last thing I needed at that time was for an ignorant white person to comment on something that has nothing to do with them. That's not relevant.
Well, let me be honest, Javel, in that I will say that I'm probably quite ignorant about various aspects of black history, and I sort of feel slightly ashamed to even admit it. But so I'm not going to pretend I'm some sort of expert on anything here.
Well, thank you for bringing closure to the subject. And I think Black History Month is like an uphill battle, because you have to understand that there are some people who don't understand, who don't feel that they have to understand, and who won't want to understand.
Why do you think they don't want to understand?
Because they don't feel that it's relevant to them. Privileged people, if you're offended by this, I'm sorry, but privileged white people don't understand, because they haven't gone through anything like that or on that scale. So they don't feel that it's relevant to them, if you understand what I mean. And like snobbery as well. It's like there's certain areas in this country I wouldn't go to, because I know I won't be accepted, because there are some white people that feel that they're above some people.
Well, where would you say that? Where would you feel uncomfortable to go to? That's something
because it's a majority white area.
But most of the country is a majority white area.
No, but look at London. There's loads of different. Look at London. There's lots of different kinds of people. There are black people. I would feel comfortable in London, but there are some areas I would not in the UK. I wouldn't go to, because they're majority white area. But I feel like I've drifted off into a tangent anyway. But
but it's quite an interesting tangent. So let's explore it a little bit further, because I think you've hit on something which, I mean, I'm slightly appalled that you would feel uncomfortable going to any part of the country that you live in.
This isn't my country. We're saying that this is my country, but this isn't my country. Look at my ancestors are originally from West Africa, Ghana, present-day Ghana, Nigeria, whatever you want to call it.
Were you born here? Were you born here?
And I was born here by my ancestors. I'm talking about historically.
No, sure, but surely because you're born here, you ought to feel that it's your country.
I don't feel that this is my country. I feel like I'm the only one sometimes, because 4% of this country are like black, and the majority are white. Well, that feels strange.
But what would make you feel belong more? Because from your argument so far, the only thing that's going to make you feel belong more is if the rest of the country is black.
Yeah, and non-ignorant people. Just being aware of what black people has gone through, even if you can't necessarily relate to it, but just understand.
But do you think that do you fear walking down the street of one of these areas where you would feel uncomfortable, and you think you'd be stared at? You think people would say bad things to you? Is that?
They'd look down on you and they'd be scared of you, because typically they stereotype black people to be thieves, murderers and criminals. Like, if I was wearing a tracksuit, if I was wearing a hoodie, everybody would be scared. Or a policeman would pull me over and have no fear. I've had that experience with the police. But that
can happen in London, let alone anywhere else.
And I'm already 15. I'm a minor, clearly.
See,
I don't know why the police are really racist, but I don't know. It's just the way it is. But
you see, what you're saying to me really worries me, because you've grown up in this country, and this country has somehow made you feel that it's against you. People say that there's no racism, but racism truly exists. Oh no, I get that. You should see my texts and tweets half the time. I know it exists.
But if you understand, you have to look at like a timeline of racism. 1950s, 1960s. It was very evident. It was very blatant racism, but now it's concealed. You might stare at, I might be friends with a white person or might know a white person, but you have to understand that they might not like you.
Well, they're not your friend if they don't like if they don't like you.
But seriously, you have got some people who you think you're friends, they're not your friends, even if they're a different race to you. It's like, I wouldn't consider going out with a white girl because I know what would happen because I just know they wouldn't accept me because. Well, I've just off into a tangent anyway. I'm sorry.
Well, no. Well, let's go back to Black History Month. So, from your point of view, Black History Month is clearly very important because it enables people who may be ignorant about all sorts of issues to do with black people. It enables people to learn more.
Yes, and also these offensive words that they use towards black people, such as the N-word, it comes black. People use it casually every day, and it shouldn't be used.
It's used.
I've been called the N-word 3 times in my life. It's a hard lesson to learn when you're 15, but certain people don't like you. It's a hard lesson, but you have to learn it.
Well, you do. I mean, it's no consolation to you to say that if you were growing up in the 1970s or 1980s in this country, it would have happened a lot more than 3 times. And clearly, attitudes change over generations. I don't pretend that there aren't racists in this country. Of course there are. But it appalls me to hear some of the things that you're saying. You clearly, genuinely believe you're not trying to sort of have us on at all. It's something that is deeply within your consciousness.
It's not about me. I'm just a fraction of the many people who feel this way. And you can look at people and tell that they don't like you. Even look at Theresa May. If you're offended by this, I'm sorry. But like you can look at certain people and tell that they don't like you. They act like they're your friends, but they don't like you.
Yeah,
really.
but I can say that as well. I've got lots of people who think they're my friends, but I actually can tell that they don't like me.
It's not about your character. It's about your colour.
It can be about your colour, but it's not always about your colour, I would say. You might say, well, you can say that, you're a middle-aged white guy, but sometimes I think if you go through life thinking that it's all about colour, it becomes all about colour.
Racism is taught as well, because you are taught at a very early age. You can't like a certain person because of their colour, or you have to be wary of that person because they are a different colour to you.
Well, it is all about stereotypes, but you yourself said that you wouldn't go out with a white girl. If I had somebody on the radio who said they wouldn't, a white person who said they wouldn't go out with a black person, then I would have problems with that.
I'd be wary of it. You just have to be aware. As long as you know the truth, you're fine. Knowledge is power. Just a little knowledge is dangerous.
Well, that is very true, as I discover most days on this programme. Well, Javel, look, it's been an absolutely fascinating chat with you. I'd like to finish it in an optimistic way to an extent, because I do think that the furtherance of knowledge of black history, and there are so many books now that people can read. I mean, there's a historian called David Olusoga who's written a book called Black and British, A Forgotten History, which has become an absolute bestseller. Now, the fact that it's a bestseller ought to tell you that there are lots of people who want to learn more about black history.
Let's make one final point. I don't want to be a token black person. Like, as soon as black history comes up, it's slavery. We have to celebrate Black History Month because black people have made an extraordinary, if not phenomenal, contribution to this country, if not the whole world. They've invented lots of things. The first traffic lights. People don't want to hear these things.
Well, that's something I didn't know.
People don't want to hear these kind of things. But black people invent because they want to feel that we're above that.
Well, again, I'm not sure. When you say people don't want to hear these things, of course, if you're an out-and-out racist, you don't want to hear anything that shows that black people do good things. That's quite clear. But most people in this country are not out-and-out racist. It's just sometimes the racists make their voices heard much more loudly than others. Javel.
This caller was amazing. I mean, literally unbelievable. He is backing up my entire argument over Imagine the Waz not being part of this country, not being British. He literally is saying, this isn't my country, and complaining about majority white areas. You couldn't ask for any more. It's perfect. So if this is real, then brilliant. I love it. Absolutely great. And this will wake up lots of white people. However, I do think there is a possibility this could be fake, because when he says, I've been called the N-word 3 times in my life, it's a hard lesson to learn when you're 15, but certain people don't like you. That for me, it set off alarm bells. It didn't sound right. Something sounded fishy about that. And so I think it could be real, but that was like, do people speak like that? Who speaks like that? It's like, no way. So it could be fake. But again, who would fake this? Was it a white person calling in to do this? Or a black person? I'm not sure. But yeah, it just is a little bit of doubt in my mind. So anyway, I'll leave it there, but please let me know your thoughts. And do you think this guy is real? Like, dislike, subscribe, unsubscribe, please comment. Ilu Sassoon. Peace out.